Well, the ACDP has raised concern over the signing of the BELA Bill on Friday. It's questioning the bill's implication on sectors such as homeschooling and rural schools, as well as the mass amount of funding its implementation would need. The party has called on the president to reconsider and have the bill sent back to Parliament, saying if signed, it will undoubtedly be challenged in the Constitutional Court. The party has further commended parties in the GNU that have cried foul over the bill. The Democratic Alliance, at the same time, has warned that the signing of the bill would directly violate the letter and the spirit of the joint statement of intent of the GNU. Party leader John Steenhuisen has made a request to meet with the president before Friday to deliver his party's amendments to the bill and to request for it to be taken back to Parliament. Steenhuisen has stressed that if the ANC continues with this course of action, it will only diminish the good faith built around the GNU. The party has further requested the establishment of a dispute resolution mechanism that would ensure the letter of intent is upheld and no unilateral action could be taken by a single party within the government of the national unity. Of course, we are continuing to get reaction on this particular matter. The DA is not the only one, of course, concerned about the signing that is going ahead on Friday. The ACDP, in fact, also raising concerns over the signing, questioning the bill's implication on sectors that he has also mentioned on homeschooling and rural schools, as well as a mass amount of funding its implementation would need. Other civil society organizations have also been divided around this, whilst most have welcomed the fact that you are, in fact, amending some of those laws that were in the past and effectively are not working anymore. Some, of course, also questioning the autonomy of parents at schools, teachers, as well as communities around those particular schools. The ACDP also, like the DA, calling on the president to reconsider and then have the bill sent back to Parliament. But let's continue then to get more reaction on this and get analysis on the signing of the BELA Bill on Friday. And welcome a political analyst, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Just your reaction around how the essentially the GNU is handling this signing that will be taking place on Friday.
Unathi, I don't think that the GNU will fall apart as yet, not because I'm a strong a proponent of it, but largely because I think the GNU is bigger than all those political parties who are involved in that political arrangement. In my view, it's a brainchild of the market forces. It's not a brainchild of the ANC, as it has been claiming of late that it has outmaneuvered all other political players, or the GNU is the best thing that could ever have happened. I mean, you know, the background to it, we had a moonshot pact, which was an idea that the DA ran with it, and then the multi-party charter, and then the GNU. So I think the market forces, I mean, behind closed doors, I think they will try to bridge those gaps. But to avoid some of these, I would say, unnecessary conflicts, the partners of the GNU, they need to operationalize that idea from the IFP of having a platform to manage conflicts, because at the moment it doesn't exist. There's only that statement of intent, which has created a scope also for some of the conflicts. But I don't think that it will come down to a situation whereby the DA will walk out of it.
That's a sentiment I also got from Willie Okamp in terms of not wanting to see the GNU, of course, falling apart. But just on that point, in as far as having those mechanisms in place for the GNU in instances like these, I mean, one would imagine that this is not the first point of contention that we are likely to see within the GNU. Their party, of course, is speaking about requesting the establishment of a dispute resolution mechanism that would then ensure that the letter of intent is upheld and no unilateral action, could be taken by a single one party. But when we heard earlier from the briefing by the presidency, it did also come across as though the president also has his constitutional mandates to enforce and implement certain, bills to acts.
I think we need to strike a balance, because this is a very, complex matter, because now you are talking about the provisions of a coalition arrangement or the provisions of the GNU, right? Yeah. Then on the other hand, you're talking about the constitutional provisions in relation to the president, both as a head of state and as a head of government. But we must bear in mind that there was no outright winner in the recent general elections. Therefore, the president cannot take unilateral decisions, because he's got other partners that he has to consult in terms of politics of accommodation. I think what one might argue and say maybe that's one of the strong points of a coalition arrangement or the so-called GNU. But when invoking the Constitution, I think we must be very careful and understand the context.
Now, when you consider that what the DA is saying, and I mean, notwithstanding what you've earlier said about not, thinking that this will be a threat to the DA, but the DA did, in fact, say that the signing and the going ahead will form as a threat to the GNU. Who then would benefit from this fallout within the GNU?
Well, I think in the main, if that hypothesis comes to fruition, let's say, the political parties go separate ways, it's the people that will be dealt with a blow in a big way, because then we'll be left without a government. Remember, it took about a month to constitute a government, and if now the government falls apart, how long is it going to take for them to form another government? So I think it will affect service delivery. I don't want to say there have been positive things on a large scale, but I think we have, a stable government. Of course, we still have, social ills and so on. But I think it will affect in the main the people of this country. But again, I don't think that it will come down to that. I don't think that the government will fall apart because of that. I think the people who formed this government will defend it.
And just as a final comment from you, Prof, notwithstanding, of course, the dynamics that you've just also been speaking about, what are we then likely to see, post Friday? Because, of course, we know that the DA's John Steenhuisen has asked to urgently meet President Cyril Ramaphosa. But where do you think then the compromise will be, particularly when you look at the statement of intent for the GNU, when no party makes unilateral decisions? But just in that stand, where then will the ANC likely compromise here?
I think it has no choice. Because it will be the one that will be walking around with an egg on its face if it does forge ahead to sign off this bill. There's a lot that is at stake. It's not like what is happening at local government level. Not to say that is not important, but to talk about the country now, the whole country, there's a lot that is at stake. So I think they will take into account all those complexity. But at the same time, I think the DA also is being strategic by posing this threat to government, because they want them to take seriously their demands and not forge ahead and sign off this bill. But as I pointed out earlier on, I don't think it will come down to that, where, they go separate ways, things fall apart and so on.
Well, having said that, though, either way, cracks are definitely starting to emerge within the GNU. But Prof, let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time, political analyst, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, there for us. Of course, this is one of those stories that will continue, of course, getting momentum and also will be highlighted throughout the channel here today until, of course, that signing on Friday.